Okay, the May 20th, 2020 regular meeting of the HCDE Board of Trustees is called to order. The time is 1:01 p.m. On March 16th, 2020, Governor Greg Abbott granted a request by Attorney General Ken Paxton to temporarily suspend a limited number of open meeting laws to the extent necessary to allow telephonic or video conference meetings in response to COVID-19 pandemic. In accordance with those suspended rules, we certify the following. 1. Notice that this meeting has been posted online for at least 72 hours. Although members of the board are not gathered in a central physical location, we do have a quorum in attendance at this meeting by video conference. We are meeting by use of Zoom software application, which allows two-way communication and allows members of the public to both see and hear the meeting. Regarding the public comment, one of the rules suspended by Governor Abbott was that the statutory requirement to hold public comment at board meetings. Similarly, the resolution adopted by HCDE Board at its emergency meeting held on March 20, 2020, the board temporarily waived any requirement or allowance of public comment citizen inquiry at board meetings as provided for the board policy BED local until such time that the department assumes normal operations. In lieu of public comment during board meetings, member of the public may submit written comments to the board via email address posted on today's meeting notice. All other meeting procedures will adhere to the board adopted procedures to the extent practicable. A recording of this meeting is being made and will be available to the public at a later date. This software application allows for a maximum of 100 people to view and interact at a time. We apologize in advance for any unforeseeable difficulties and ask for your patience as we navigate unprecedented conditions. To ensure we have a smooth meeting today, everyone's microphone, including board members' microphones, will automatically be muted. If a board member or a member of the administration has a question or would like to make a comment, I ask you please raise your hand and wait until I recognize you before unmuting your microphone and speaking. Before we move forward to the first agenda item, does any board member have any question? Hold on, I got to get to where I could see. Okay, I don't see any questions. So I'm gonna go back to the script. Okay, the first item on the agenda is the invocation by Trustee Cantu.
Thank you. Lord, we ask for your guidance and strength to continue to persevere through this global pandemic. Bless the souls of those we've lost to COVID-19 and comfort their families and loved ones. Lord, thank you for the blessing of our hardworking people on the front line, particularly those in the fields and the meat processing plants who provide for our nourishment. Thank you for the blessing of those in the medical field who keep us healthy and nurse the sick. And thank you for the brave who work on the front line, our firefighters, EMS, and police. A special blessing for HPD Officer Knox and Sheriff Sergeant Serwinski. Finally, Lord, please bless our educators and support staff who will now find creative ways to continue to teach and enrich the lives of our youth and community. Lord, grant this governing board the wisdom to do good because it is your will and because we have the strength of Christ. Amen.
Amen. Amen. That was an excellent prayer. Okay. The next agenda item are the pledges of allegiance to the U.S. and Texas flag. Trustee Duhan, could you please lead us in those pledges?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you so much. Okay, so now we're going to go to the posted agenda. Okay. Do we have any public comment?
We do not.
Oh, that's a shame. Okay, and anybody watching this, you know, I'm all about public comment. And in the future, if we do continue doing these type of board meetings, you can email us at publiccomment@hcde-texas.org. And I look forward to the general public's participation. I look forward also to a day whenever we'll be able to have live interaction again. Okay, so let's go to the reports and presentation. We have a presentation of the Board of Meritorious Budget Award to HCDE for excellence in the preparation issuance of its budget for fiscal year 2020. Dr. Jesus Amezcua, I guess that's excellent. Dr. Jesus Amezcua, could you go into that presentation of or could you go into that, please?
Yes, the Government Finance Officers Association has awarded the Certificate of Achievement for a budget document for fiscal year 2020. We received a notice this about 2 months ago, and so this is about the 12th year that we received this notice, and so we appreciate the board's guidance and approval, and also from all the divisions to continue with that program.
That's very excellent. Moving along, does the superintendent have a monthly report?
Yes, sir, President Dick. Thank you for the opportunity. I want to just remind all the board members that both me and all of the staff of Harris County Department of Ed is very appreciative of y'all taking time out of teaching your children at home and dealing with everything else that you're dealing with to be able to make these board meetings, but also the subcommittee meetings that are not easy to do. I know some of y'all have been having 5 and 6 meetings a day, and being able to squeeze us in, we are very appreciative of that. And just know that the staff is also watching the decisions that you make. Actually, I have 4 things to report this month. The first thing I'd like to discuss is the Because We Care update with our Head Start parents. As you know, with round 1, President Dick was very insistent that we go out there and provide meals and sanitation and this, that, and the other. So we've been able to hit and meet some of those marks. With round 1, we handed out 5,780 meals. However, in round 2, we've handed out 12,100 meals. Some of that is a byproduct of us being able to get more meals into one box. I think in the round 1, we might have had 5 meals in one box. Now we've doubled that and we're doing 10 meals in one box. And a lot of that is because we're getting more access to food to be able to stuff the boxes, whereas the first round, it was difficult. You also find it in the boxes for round 2. We've been able to also provide some PPE. 605 PPE safety kits were provided to families that included hand sanitizers, gloves, and masks. So we have a total of 1,183 children and families that have been served for both round 1 and 2, which has been a total of 17,880 meals provided. We think it's going to take a little bit more time before we go to a round 3 because they've got more meals that can take them through 2 weeks. And we're seeing some repeat customers. Not all of the families have been taking advantage of it. We see a lot of the same families coming through from round 1 to round 2. And as I discussed in our previous meeting, we are using one site for multiple locations. So we're only doing like 5 different locations, but it's meeting the needs of all of our Head Start centers. Second thing I would like to report is, both the state and really throughout the country, we see businesses and retail organizations starting to loosen up some of the restrictions. Some people are coming back to work. Obviously, it looks like no one on this call is at work right now. We all look like we're at home. And Natasha Truitt, our executive director of human resources, has been on a lot of the conference calls and looking into some of the best practices. And so her and I have been meeting on a weekly basis. But what we found is that there's a lot of organizations that are going to be opening up their doors come June 1st. And I can just say, as the superintendent of Harris County Department of Ed, I don't feel comfortable with that. We have no sense of urgency where we need to race to get back into our administration building. Not only is HCDE responsible for all its employees, but we're responsible for every single human that comes in any of our facilities. We're currently in the process of buying equipment and formalizing procedures for when we do eventually open back up, where we can ensure the safety of our visitors, but also our employees. We're looking at doing shift work so we can cut the number of people in a building in half and have people working at AM and other people working at PM. We're also looking at a modified work week where we would have some people come in on Monday, Wednesday, others will come on Tuesday, Thursday. We need to take in consideration childcare, because in the past, we've had people who can't work longer hours because they got to pick up their kid from daycare. Just so you know, assume when things were normal prior to COVID-19, we would be beginning to enter into our summer hours right now, where HCDE only works Monday through Thursday, but you work an extended day with shorter lunches, and the building would be closed Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, where we would send really a tremendous amount of money in electrical bills during the summer. And so we're going to try to come up with something where we can still honor that process, but also honor the safety of our visitors and also our employees. So like I said, I'm not comfortable opening up the buildings in June. We will revisit this issue and continue to monitor it throughout the month of June, perhaps July. There's a number of school districts that are already announcing that they're going to be open in the fall, which is somewhat interesting. But we're prepared and putting measures in place to be able to provide services for them, whether they work remotely or come back into their buildings. So just know that's something that we're looking at. Now, that kind of makes me move into topic number 3 is, as you know, we have 4 special schools that contract with the 25 school districts in the county. I was really anticipating those contracts suffering going into next year because of the possibility of schools being closed throughout the fall. But to my surprise, I'm actually very surprised that our schools have gotten over 90% of their contracts in for the next school year, which is very typical. And so one, that could be a byproduct of superintendent's optimism that school's going to be starting in August. But I think it's a bigger testament to the quality of service that our folks are providing. Dr. Mays and our principals have done an exceptional job with our special schools. And we know it's something that the 25 school districts completely value and utilize, so much so that they would be ready to renew a contract early, even if school doesn't open in August. So that's pretty impressive. Because of that, we're still on a hiring freeze, but certainly we'll look to staff our campuses as much as needed. We have some questions that are still out there with our therapy services that brings in about $10 million of revenue a year. Their contracts typically come in at a later part of the summer, so we really don't have a really good, clean pulse on where they're at, but we'll be monitoring that closely too. Now, remember, it's important that these contracts get renewed to be able to keep us out of a budget deficit model. Where Dr. Mesqua and I are also in the budget process too, which I'll talk about in a second. So that's good news right now, but we're just keeping a close eye on it. And the fourth thing that I have is, as I stated just a second ago, Dr. Mesqua and I have been working diligently on the budget process. We had a marathon of budget meetings a few weeks ago where we did probably about 25 meetings in 3 days. We feel good about the budget. There's been a couple additional requests that we need to incorporate in what we currently have. I've had an opportunity to talk to a couple of board members, and so we're looking at that. We're going to be sending out schedules here soon to do a budget meeting with the board where we'll present what we have with options. And so the board can start to piecemeal and put together a budget that they feel comfortable with. Ultimately, my objective as a superintendent is to be able to inform all the members of everything they need to know so they can make good decisions. And so we can continue to honor the goals and mission of the organization. But what we try to do is present all the elements and attributes to the budget. And so y'all can determine and craft the kind of budget that you feel comfortable with. Also, you must know that our budget process comes before our tax rate. And so that's always a delicate balance because we're asking you to approve something, assuming a specific tax rate gets approved. So with that, look forward to that messaging here soon, where we'll be starting the budget meetings. They're probably going to happen via Zoom, which is going to be higher than usual, but we'll be looking forward to that. And that's all I have, President Dick.
Thank you. If we could, if you aren't speaking, please put your speaker on mute. Anyway, I got a couple. Does anybody have any questions for the superintendent regarding his report? I don't see any, but I do a little bit. The first thing is I'd note that because we care, I think y'all have done a very good job with that. I've been very impressed. I've talked us up a lot because we care. I think just y'all have done just an enormously great job, a very good service to the community. And I was impressed that we're giving out masks, hand sanitizer, and gloves before the county and before other U.S. reps were. We were first to the scene. Y'all did that quick. You did a good job. I'm very impressed with all the hard work for the department, because I know it wasn't just you. It was the department that we put a lot of work into it. Y'all did a fantastic job, A+ job on that. I think y'all did a really good job. I don't know if anybody else has any comments on that, but I'm very proud of what we did with it because we care.
Well, let me be clear. It wasn't me stuffing 17,000 boxes. So those kudos go to our Head Start division. Benita Peacock has done a fabulous job along with Mr. Parker, but really a lot of the volunteers, Miss Bartz has put together a volunteer list because we need people to actually help make these boxes, to stuff all these boxes. It takes hours to do that. We have people standing outside for 4 or 5 hours to put these boxes in people's trunks. So it's a lot of people involved, and no one's getting a stipend to hand out food. They're doing it because they would make the same amount of money if they were sitting at home, but they chose to volunteer to be able to do that. I'd also like to thank Commissioner Cagle for donating several gallons of hand sanitizer. That happened, I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago. I don't know the logistics of that, but several crates of sanitizer was donated to us in a gallon form. So now we got to find a way to put it in a more usable form to get it out to our parents. So I appreciate y'all supporting that, and it's doing a lot of good.
Okay, for the reopening, are we, okay, I have a couple. Are schools going to reopen in August? I kind of seem like that was a soft yes from you.
I think it's going to be all over the place, President Dick. If I had to predict it, I think that local school districts will choose to do different things, just like they did with the closure. Some school districts chose to close for the rest of the school year, while other school districts hadn't made that decision yet. I think that they're going to watch closely to see what's happening on a national level. Superintendents are very smart. They're watching data, and they're going to make sure that things are getting better. But I've been telling my neighbors, the big litmus test you need to ask yourself is, when are you going to feel comfortable putting a child on a school bus with 50 other kids? When are you going to feel comfortable sending your kid to lunch at a high school that has 1,100 kids in the lunchroom? It's impossible to social distance in situations like that. I think it's going to be interesting. We'll see how much sports influence this. I've been watching California closely, with them closing the state universities over there. they could have effectively shut down NCAA football, because, you know, you have 4 universities out there, USC and UCLA, who can't, how are they going to do football practice when kids aren't allowed back on campus? You know, so it's there. Oddly enough, the NFL and NCAA football, it's going to be very interesting to see what they do. And my recent joke that I've been using is that if you ever needed to find a cure to a disease or a virus like COVID-19, put 10 football coaches in one room and give them an hour. They'll figure it out. If there's a virus keeping kids from playing football, Texas football coaches will figure out a cure real quick. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, the notes I have is, you know, we need to take this seriously, which we are, and we need to be responsive. And, you know, we need to know that the potential for a second wave could exist, whether it'll happen or not. And we need to find our spot. We need to find exactly how we're going to help. But it's a fluid situation, and we're just going to have to do the best we can and just adapt. And this is unprecedented times.
Yep. And not to belabor the point, but back to, let's say, the NFL. If the NFL opens up, can they make it through 16 games without having to cancel their season in the middle of it?
We're going to find out.
You know, the last I checked, I mean, football players sweat. There's a lot of body fluids going on the football field. So we'll see. Thank you.
Then our contracts are at 90%. That means we did a very good job with that. And I want to also, you know, give credit to the department for all our hard work and making sure our contracts are at 90%. And finally, the budget. You know, please present us a path where we can, you know, have a minimum wage of $15 an hour. It doesn't have to be all at once, but show us a path to it. A lot of the board members want it. We want the poorest amongst us to be able to eat, and that's what we want. It doesn't have to be all at once, but give us a path. And I'm going to keep saying it. Give us a path. I know Dr. George Moore wanted us to do it. And I think the majority of the board members want us to do that. So we'll work on that.
So we'll present you a path with multiple paths. Some paths will be dirt paths. Others might be pavement. But we'll present several options, and then y'all can ultimately choose what you want to do.
Oh, perfect. That's all we can ask is options. Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions for James? Or no? Okay, I see none. I'm going to move forward. I don't see Don Sumner's here to give. Is Don Sumner's available to give a feasibility study report? I don't hear anything. I don't see anything. I'm assuming he's not, so I'm going to move on. Do I have any other reports from board members concerning attendance or participation in a board or HCD related conference, event activity, or committee? Accolades for any HCDE staff member or other deserving person? Danny.
I want to acknowledge, was it yesterday that Trustee Cantu, Hannah Host, and myself, we all attended a conference put on by Congresswoman Sylvia Garcia, dealing with, she had a conference with the educators in the area, trying to figure out the path forward, making sure that, and giving us an update on what's going on the federal level, how they're trying to get money down to the states and to the local levels. And, I just want to make sure that we, let everybody know that we've been trying to participate in that. And also had a chance to follow up with one of her aides dealing with education, because one of the things I've mentioned before, and I think both on the state level, even on the federal level, any way that we have federal programs, so definitely we want to make sure that we have a line of communication. If for whatever reason anything happens, it's good to have access to those who are actually giving the money, make sure that we're getting it for the programs we have. And also any way that HCDE can help, since we are so unique, whether it be in any form, if it's especially situations like this that nobody knows what to do. If any way we can help in any way, whether some form, since we have a relationship with a number of school districts, I just want to make sure that was open as well. So just want to let everybody know that that happened, and hopefully we can help in any way we can, in any manner we can. Want to make sure that we were a part of it.
Excellent. Any other trustee have any comments? And thank you, Trustee Norris. Thank you for participating in that. You're right with the vertical integration and connecting ourselves with the federal government. Okay, so let's move on. Let's see. Okay. Dr. Jesus Amezcua, if you could give us our monthly finance reports.
Hello. Yes. I'm not sure if I'm a co-host or not. Would you be able to see my screen?
We see your phone, the Galaxy S. I don't know if that's your phone. We see a phone. We don't
Let
see
me
your screen.
Let me see if you can see the screen. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
All right. Awesome. Okay. This is one of two presentations, so I'm going to try to be as brief as I can on all the detail, because there's a lot of probably you might be able to see hopefully the entire screen, but okay, let me see. Okay, so our financial highlights as of April 30th, 2020. Again, we're at 98% conducting all our business electronically. The only time that we come once a week to issue checks and submit the payroll to the bank. All our financials are as of April 30th. We'll have a budget amendment report, and all the financials are being posted on our website. Our balance sheet as of April 30th, we have 46,988,902 in assets, liabilities of 2,123,406, and total fund equity of 46,988,092. Our fund balance as of April 30th, we have 46,988,092, of which about approximately 14,895,977 are revenues that came in earlier and are going to be utilized for the remainder of the fiscal year. Our financial ratios as of April 30th, we have unassigned fund balance, so we're at 63% versus 56% a year ago at the same time. Working capital ratio, we're at 45 million, which is 44 million from a year ago. We're in line for when we were a year ago. Unassigned fund balance ratio, we're at 45%, a little bit better than a year ago at the same time. Our debt to income ratio holding steady at 6%, just like last year. Our revenue to total tax ratio, we're at 34% versus 30% a year ago. And then our indirect cost ratio is a little bit higher now at 3%, which is good news for the general fund, which is additional federal dollars. Revenue growth, we're at 24% in terms of fees, and it's holding better than a year ago. And then our growth ratio is at 2%. It's not expanding as much as last year. If you remember, last year we had a huge increase from our choice partners. And so this year is a little bit more leveled off. Our fund balance activity for the different months, we had an amendment from September to March of 522,290. And then we'll present our April amendment in a few minutes. Our revenues, and I want to capture a little bit on this slide. So let me move the screen to the side. The revenues, we have received 80% or billed 80% of our revenue in the general fund. Special revenues, we're at 43%, and those are usually lagged because of being 1 month behind. Debt service has 81. So overall, we're at 64% for the all of the different funds. But the key one here is general fund, which is received 80% of its revenues. And on a linear timeline, we would have been at 67%. So it's a little bit ahead than the normal that we would have had as of this time. Our budget amendments, we're at 108 million in revenues and 123 million in appropriations, primarily due to the PFC that we're having that for this year, and that project is going to end up being completed this year. Our expenditures, another measure that it's important is a general fund expenditure level. As of April, we're at 55%, and we have 2.6 million in encumbrances. Typically, we would be at 67%, so that's running a little bit less by about 12%. So that combined with the revenue, we're looking good for the spring and then a strong year at the end of the year. Our donations for the month were $10,341 in kind, and our tax collections in terms of comparative analysis and in the values, we're at 480,717 million. At the beginning of the year, we projected 483 billion, so it's running a little bit behind for about 3 billion. Now we received the new values for the new year, and so preliminary is that we have about 505 billion for fiscal year 2021. If all is well, in terms of the values that come in, the 481 billion would be less than what we projected at the beginning of the year, which is roughly about 72,154 less in revenue than we was projected in August of last year. Our taxes, we are at 95.9% collections. We've collected overall, including delinquent, at 95.4%. Our payments to a tax office, we're at 604,356, and our payments to the appraisal district are 473,328, and that is to collect and assess the tax. Again, our collections are at 95.9%, which is a little bit about 1%, and that's primarily the impact of COVID-19. That there is about a 1% decline so far in our tax collections for the current year. Disbursements for the month were 3,071,366, a total of 302 checks, 298 transactions, and 6 transfers. All the detail is posted on our website and also part of your package. On segment information data, in terms of the various divisions that we have, educator certification, we're at minus $352,089. Records management are a variance of $109,075. We fully expect that to be erased by the end of the year. Therapy services right now is at 1,206,658. Again, that was meant to have some tax subsidy. And then special schools right now is at minus 301,370. Choice Partners continues to be strong. We have a transfers in of 2,115,268 from Choice Partners, or a 58% ratio. Our budget amendments for the month of May, we have a general fund of 69,000, special revenue of 93,519. 69,000 is for some government relations services, transfers between accounts, and also the transfer between line items for the foundation is just reclassifying that from one line item to another. Those have no effect in fund balance. In terms of grants and revenues, we received a disaster relief grant for Head Start for $89,500. And we also have a grant for $4,019 for a local grant that was received. In terms of our construction PFC update, we went over earlier today with a PFC. The total amount of this project was $11,029,134. And so far, plus that included the amount for the land, and so right now the total expenditures were 11,261,827, including land. Interest and arbitrage received so far we're at 484,474. The amount on arbitrage actually seems to be lower because interest rates are lower. So we'll see less amount going to arbitrage to the IRS because there's less amount of interest earnings. In terms of our PFC, as I presented earlier, 2,288,552 is the amount available in the PFC. And so in the next 3 slides, you have all the payments going back to October 2016, cumulative year-to-date of all their payments to all the contractors and the amounts by month from the inception to date. So total amount, and we have retainage of 437,285, and we won't release that until the final acceptance on the project will be made in the month of June. Again, amounts pending or that is so far still remaining is 1,217,550. Project timeline, the project is complete. Just pending the finalized permits from the city of Houston, and so that we can release retainage. Foundation update. Amounts in the financial position as of April were 169,876. And payments made, also rather income received, was EcoBot 7,454, 1,500 other, total restricted of 8,962. And so that's the those are the amounts that of the payments that were made, $8,886.53 in total. That's the financial report. That's one of 2 reports. The next one is the investment report. Do you have any questions regarding the financial report for the month of April?
Do any trustees have any questions? I'm looking. I don't see anything. Okay. I have a little bit of a question. I think,
Okay.
and it's more of a clarification.
Okay.
The benefit ratio you had for choice partners at 58%, I'm assuming is something similar to a return of investment ratio. Is that
Yeah.
what?
Yes, right. Is the percentage of profitability.
That's okay. See, I'm getting a little bit out of my MBA class, so that's that's
Yes.
good. Okay.
Yeah, it typically it would be the profit P&L ratio that you would have normally seen in the private sector.
Okay, then that's good. Then if it's
Yes.
58% profitable, that's
Right. After expenses.
excellent. Okay.
So that's holding steady, and so the investment report as of April. Again, our investment is certified by the Government Treasurers Association, and our investment by fund type, we have a total portfolio of $45,625,031, PFC of $2,288,552. All our funds are distributed among the different pools, more of an even type of distribution across all the pools, but 96% of that are investment pools. Bank of Texas and Tex Pool make up the PFC, and that's where we have all our funds for the construction of the AB West. Looking at from a year ago, we have a portfolio that is 8,915,373 less than a year ago, and primarily is because of the expenditure of the construction funds from the PFC, which total about approximately $9 million for year to date for this year. All our funds are invested overnight, and so we have a total of $43,336,479. We have earned year to date $337,137 for the HCDE's general fund, and for the PFC $58,730. We're earning right now an average yield of 0.6608, Right now, the benchmark is 0.11, and the rates continue to decline. Again, I foresee us getting into the 0.10 and 0.20 in the next month. You can see a progression here of how the rates have gone down from fiscal year 2019. They were starting to go up, and then all of a sudden, somewhere along there in September and October, China came into the picture with the tariffs. And then, of course, in January, February, COVID-19 came into effect, and you see the downward trend on our interest rates that we receive on our investment funds. Here's the last 4 months, and I mentioned this to the PFC as well. Quite a reduction of interest revenue that we would have otherwise received. And so we were earning about a 1/3 less. Now it's about 1/2, and it is going to be about we're going to be earning probably about 1/5 of what we were earning 4 months ago. So interest rates are continuing to go down. This is a report as of April 30th. Any questions that you may have?
Do any board trustees have any questions? I'm seeing none. Just sounds like it's a bad time to borrow money. And it's no good time to borrow money, a bad time to save money.
Right. Yeah, bad time to invest, but good time to incur debt.
Bad time to have it liquid, maybe investing in other things.
Right.
I have just a general question. So our projected we're in the black. Are we still in the black? I didn't see that.
Yes, if you saw that there was right now approximately $14 million that we are still in positive between now and the end of the year. So that should carry us through the end of the year.
Okay, good. Just making sure we're in the black. That's really that's the big thing. But otherwise, thank you, Dr. Jesus.
You're welcome.
Oh, very good. Okay. So let's go to the consensus agenda. See if I remember this right. Is there anybody that wants to remove anything from the consensus agenda? Are there any items that we disagree with? I'm looking at, Trustee Duhan.
Hey, there's just something that stood out to me in the monthly disbursement report, and I just want to hear about it, so I guess we need to pull it.
What number is that?
It's 1A.
Okay, we'll hear about it. 1A. Does any other trustees have any more questions or want more information regarding items in the consensus agenda? I'm seeing none. So now I guess what we're considering is approval of the consensus agenda minus 1A. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you, Trustee Norris for the second, Trustee Duhan for making the motion. Is there any discussion on the consensus agenda minus 1A? Okay, seeing no discussion, let's put it up for a vote. Sarah?
Shall I do the roll call? Okay,
Please, please.
President Dick,
Yes.
Trustee Vice President Norris,
Yes.
Trustee Cantu,
Yes.
Trustee Duhan,
Yes.
and Trustee Hinojosa.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, let's look to 1A, which is the monthly disbursement report. Do I have a motion for the monthly disbursement report?
So moved.
Trustee Norris. Do I have a second?
Second.
That is Trustee Cantu seconding it. Do we have any discussion? Yes, Trustee Duhan.
So there's just something that stood out to me. We have a payment of $95,000 to a hotel deposit for a speaker for Ron Clark. I just want to know what department was that? What is going on with that? Why are we paying $95,000 for a speaker?
Okay, am I on? Yes. That is for the conference that was held at the Marriott by the Teacher and Learning Center in January, I believe.
Okay. So
And
how is that just now coming in for April?
We had not made the payment. We had an invoice that was processed until March because we don't get billed in January. We get billed until we settle up and see how many attended so that we
Sure.
can settle up the payment.
Okay.
And just to be clear, the 95,000 wasn't just for a speaker. It was for the whole event, is what I'm assuming.
Right, it's for meals, the room, and all those things related to that event.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. It says hotel deposit and then deposit fee for speaker. So that just kind of threw me off. Like,
Yeah, no, it's not. It is for the conducting the event at the Marriott.
okay.
And just so you know, that we had, I think, around 500 attendees to that event, and it was also profitable. So,
Right, we have a revenue generated an equal, actually more than that.
We had amendment last month.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Okay.
I think
Thank you.
it came 1 or 2 months ago. Yes.
Thanks.
So again, to reiterate, it was a business expense to which we generated a larger profit from the $95,000 spent. Would that be correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just making sure this in case anybody's watching that wants to criticize us on that. Okay. So do we have a motion? We have a motion. We have a second. Is there any other discussion? Seeing no discussion.
Yeah, I've got one question.
Yes, Trustee Cantu.
Yes, on the disbursements as well. Noticed there's a couple of categories on the report. 3 of them actually stood out. Amazon, PayPal, and Square. Altogether, we're not talking about a whole lot of money compared to our overall budget, but I see a whole lot of transactions. Amazon, 451 transactions totaling $40,000. PayPal, 75 transactions totaling almost 20,000, and so forth. And I just all the other P-card transactions are real clear what was purchased from where and how much. These general categories here, they don't really tell us what was purchased, where, who, or what. So I just wanted to hear from the administration what the process was for kind of checks and balances for those categories.
Yes, we have, if I'm not mistaken, that deals with Scholastic. There were, those are the fees that get charged for the students that attend, and then we have to remit that amount to Scholastic International so that we can pay for their participation. So they have to come in individually, and then we total them up and we pay the vendor. I believe if you look at what page number of the agenda you're looking at, so I can kind of go to it and confirm that.
I believe that's page 4.
Yeah, it's in the disbursement report. I can't pull it up in front of me, but it's under the P-card report where it mentions sort of general.
So every time that there is a charge, we use the Square to be able to swipe for the participation of Scholastics. And so I'll confirm that and send information back to a superintendent so we can send you the detail of that. I have to look into the particular P card, but basically all P cards have to be reconciled each month. There has to be receipts and payments for a particular event. And so I could be able to just pull that out and tell you the event that took place or the types of activities, just as a recollection, because I get to review all the transactions monthly. I remember there were about 20-some thousand worth of charges for Scholastic for the participation and the fees that we paid for Scholastic for the students that participate, and then we have to pay back the membership for participating on the Scholastic event. So I will follow up and make sure that that's what that is, not having the exact report in front of me.
Do we have any other questions?
I just want to kind of reiterate something that Mr. Cantu was saying. He was saying, what do we have as a safety for all of those different Amazon and PayPal expenses? What are they all going through procurement, or
Each
who all has the
individual-
ability to do that?
Yes, so we have approximately 96 procurement cards that get issued to a department head, and a department head has to abide by a P card manual that has the rules of what they can do and be able to charge on there. If there are any exceptions above the threshold, they have to get my approval in order to do that. So for example, just today, Head Start needed to charge about $1,000 more than the limit. And so I approved it so that they can go ahead and get the training that they needed. And so I made the adjustment. But those are exceptions that I would review, but they have to stay within the guidelines. And so all these purchases will be within the guidelines. So I will follow up to make sure that they're the detail that Mr. Cantu is talking about. It's what I'm talking about. Because I recall that there was some Scholastic activity, and there were a lot of individual ones, and we had to reconcile those before we make the payment to Scholastic.
Well, and I'll just say, Dr. Amezcua, I know there has been an uptick on purchases from Amazon. I've even made purchases. I rarely ever use my P card, but I've had to get paper clips and paper and stuff like that for my home office. So I think what we're seeing is some of it is an uptick of working from home and trying to get gloves, masks. We just purchased a bunch of these temperature gauges to zap people's forehead to prepare for re-entry to the building. That could have been an Amazon purchase. There's some things that don't go through our co-op where we can make purchases. So some of that could have been what the Amazon purchases were. So I'll get that report to me and I'll have Melissa send it out to the board.
I will.
Excellent. Okay, so seeing no more discussion, if you would, let's put it for a roll call, put it for a vote.
President Dick,
Yes.
Vice President Norris.
Yes,
See-
sorry.
Okay,
Could've
no,
been
that's
about
okay. Trustee Cantu. I think he went away. I'm not seeing him.
He stepped out for a second.
Okay. Trustee Duhan,
Yes.
Trustee Hinojosa.
Yes.
We're going to have that be a 4-0. Motion passes 4-0.
Very well. Okay, let's move on to we went through the consensus. So let's go to the non-consensus. Consider approval of a $2,197,169 request to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Office of Head Start. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Duhan. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Norris. Do we have any discussion on this? I think this is just us asking for money for asking for $2 million is what it seems like. Is that correct? I'm assuming that's what it is. Okay. Seeing no discussion, saying we have a motion that's seconded. Let's put it for a vote. All in favor? Or yes, please. Please, let's do a roll call. I get.
Sure. No, that's okay. President Dick,
Yes.
Vice President Norris,
Yes.
Trustee Cantu. We're voting on item 7A, which is the approval of the $2 million plus request to U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Office of Head Start for continued funding of Head Start.
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Duhan
Yes.
and Trustee Hinojosa.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Excellent. Okay, let's consider 7B. Consider acceptance of a notice of award for the Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families for Head Start Division. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is that Trustee Hinojosa?
Yes.
Do I have a second by Trustee Norris? Excellent. Do we have any discussion? Seeing no discussion, let's put it for a vote. Sarah?
President Dick,
Yes.
Vice President Norris,
Yes.
Trustee Cantu,
Yes.
Trustee Duhan,
Yes.
and Trustee Hinojosa.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay. C, let's consider approval of master job order contract for the replacement of the High Point East gym walls. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Hinojosa.
I think that was Trustee Duhan, but
Oh, was it
I
Trustee Duhan? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Do I have a second? Thank you. Dave. Thank you, Trustee Norris, for seconding it. Do we have any discussion? Seeing no discussion, let's put it for a vote, Sarah.
President Dick,
Yes.
Vice President Norris,
Yes.
Trustee Cantu,
Yes.
Trustee Duhan,
Yes.
and Trustee Hinojosa.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Let's consider approval of the contract with Blackboard Inc., job number 17 /026KH08 for website. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Duhan made the motion. Do we
I
have
think
a
that was
second?
Hinojosa.
I'm gonna learn the voices. I'm sorry.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Norris. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, let's move it for a vote, Sarah.
President Dick,
Yes.
Vice President Norris,
Yes.
Trustee Cantu,
Yes.
Trustee Duhan,
Yes.
and Trustee Hinojosa.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Let's consider the first reading of the following revised new local policies. Do I have a motion?
Actually, sorry to interrupt. Because
Oh,
this is first reading, there's no motion needed. It's just a first reading. And also, after the policy committee met yesterday, the first policy listed there, BBD local, is removed. There are no suggested revisions to that policy. And if you all have any questions regarding the revisions to any of these policies, my recommendation is to discuss those in executive session under legal advice, because these revised policies are confidential by law until they get finally adopted by the board and then released to the public. In addition, they're also work products. So if you have any questions, we can certainly answer those in executive session, and that's my recommendation.
So that is both E and F, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So then we'll move. We need to make no action. We're just going to move on. Is that correct, Sarah?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we're going to consider a contract award for job number 20/038KJ, Governmental Relations Services, to the proposer offering the best value to HCDE and meeting the specifications outlined in the RFP. Do I have a motion?
So
So
moved.
moved.
I'm going to say Richard Cantu made the motion and Adrian Duhan seconded it.
There you go.
Do we have any discussion? Seeing no discussion, let's put it for a vote.
President Dick,
Yes.
Vice President Norris,
Yes.
Trustee Cantu,
Yes.
Trustee Duhan,
Yes.
and Trustee Hinojosa.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay. let's see, we're going to executive session. So I say it's 2:01 under the Texas Government Code pursuant to any and all purposes permitted by 551.001 to 551.080, including but not limited to 551.071, 551.074, and 551.072. We're going to executive session. All right, I assume we're back. Let's go to 9A.
You just say the time for the record, President Dick. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. I forget. I get excited. So it is 2:26 p.m. and we are back. What I'm looking for is a motion in regards to 9A. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And I'm imagining the motion is to approve as it regards to 9A, right, Sarah?
Yes, sir.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Do we have any discussion? See no discussion. So let's move it for a vote, Sarah.
President Dick,
Yes.
Vice President Norris,
Yes.
Trustee Cantu,
Yes.
Trustee Duhan,
Yes.
Trustee Hinojosa. I'm seeing her screen is black.
She might be reloading.
Okay. Should we wait a second or should we move on?
I imagine we can, I don't even.
I'm here.
Oh, okay. There she is. Thank you. Trustee Hinojosa, we're voting on 9A.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay. Now let's turn to 9B. Do I have a motion to approve 9B?
Just so sorry to interrupt before somebody makes a motion. On 9B, there's one change to the agenda. Under Chapter 21, term contracts for campus personnel, instead of 2 teachers at Fortis Academy, it should say 1 teacher at Fortis Academy.
So do I have a motion as modified to have 1 teacher instead of 2?
So moved.
That's Trustee Norris. Do I have a second?
Second.
That was Trustee Hinojosa, I believe.
Very good.
I'm learning voices. Okay. Do we have any discussion? Seeing no discussion, let's put it for a vote. Sarah?
President Dick,
Yes.
Vice President Norris,
Yes.
Trustee Cantu,
Yes.
Trustee Duhan,
Yes.
Trustee Hinojosa.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Is there any final motions like a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Move to adjourn.
That's Trustee Norris making the motion, Trustee Duhan seconding it. Do we have any discussion? I see none. Let's put it for a vote.
President Dick,
Yes.
Vice President Norris,
Yes.
Trustee Cantu,
Yes.
Trustee Duhan,
Yes.
Trustee Hinojosa.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, the department. Y'all have done just a great job. Keep up the good work. I look forward to seeing y'all next month.
Thank you. I appreciate you, President Dick. Thank you, board members. Take care. Be safe. Wear your mask.